Alrighty. And welcome back to the Patcast, sitting down with head football coach Keith Houston. A little bit of a disappointment on homecoming night, but still a lot of positives from my perspective. Searcy, a team that scores close to 45 points a game. You hold them to a season low 28 points a week after they score 50-something points on a conference rival. Let's talk about the defense first while we're there. We had some plays like Jaquaylin Daniel with a pick six, several stops on big moments on third down and fourth down occasionally. Overall, your take on the defense?
I thought we executed well at times. And, for us to get what we want out of it, we want to execute well more than we don't. And, it was a few situations where we did do some good things, but there's some situations where we didn't do some good things, and we gave up those big plays that we try to eliminate. And, if we could get to the point where we can consistently do the things that they're asked to do and coached to do throughout the week, we're playing with these teams, and, when we can do that, we think we give ourselves a better chance to win those games instead of falling short.
Offensively, it seemed like the game plan was what y'all wanted it to be. There's just a few mental mistakes there with drop passes, with penalties. Were you kind of pleased with the offense besides that?
Well, again, we felt like we did some things that we wanted to do on the offensive side of the ball. But I just think the lack of focus on just small things eliminated some of the things that we did want to do Friday night. And, we got to play well. We got to play better all the way across the board. We had too many penalties, and those are mental things, man. When you consistently have a lot of penalties, you don't give yourself a chance, and we still end up losing, by a small deficit. And if our kids can just get it in their head that, stop shooting yourself in the foot. And I've been telling them, we got to get out of our own way as a football team. When we can do that, I think a lot of good things can happen for us.
Overall, with the limiting mistakes mindset, do things change in practice at all?
Well, we just go back to the basics and, just tighten down the bolts as a coaching staff. And we talked about it on Sunday. Those are the things that we're going to do. We're just going to tighten down the bolts and, continue to harp on the little things and just be a little more tedious with the little things with the kids. Because if that's what we feel our Achilles heel right now is just little small things that's keeping us from getting over the hump. And, if we can get those fixed, we're going to be right there in the mix.
You had a few returns as far as the injuries. Caden Hunt and Slade Webb making minimal returns, but still getting some playing time. I know Caden played several drives, had a few catches in the game. Slade, I only remember seeing him in on maybe 2 or 3 plays, had one target towards him. What did you want to see from them?
Well, obviously you want them guys to be successful when they're in the game, so you maybe call some plays to try to get them the ball. And honestly, we played Slade only one play, and we wanted to target him and just see, if we could get him some confidence about himself. It's been a while since he played. But just getting them cleared says a whole lot to us. We're finally getting healthy again, and that's the main thing. And we always felt that we could just hang on and get these guys back down at the end stretch. We could give ourselves a chance. And now we got both of them back, both of them practicing, every day now. We feel like, if we can eliminate some of the mistakes now, we can really get this thing rolling and finish strong and, give ourselves an opportunity.
Are you going to limit the amount of snaps for them as well, or are they off the leash?
They off the leash right now. It's time to go. It's at the end, and it's, every game count. Every game is important, and they're count big time now. And if we can do what we supposed to do, that's the thing. We sitting exactly where we sit last year, going into conference. We won the first one. Lost the next 2, and then we went on a run and was able to finish, number 2 in the conference. So, despite all the things that's happened in the first part of the season, it's still a lot of light at the end of the tunnel, if you want to say. And, that's what we're preaching to our kids. Just take it 1 week at a time. If we can handle our business, we'll be fine.
Good chance to get on a hot run here, starting off against the Mountain Home Bombers. Patriots have won the last 10 against the Bombers, but that's no excuse to relax on any kind of a team. The Bombers have one of those unique styles of offense. Not exactly similar to Wynn, but they are very run heavy. Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges they present?
I mean, you get a group of kids that they play in that offense, and if you look on film, they play hard every play. No matter what the score is, no matter what quarter it is, no matter how much time left in the game, those kids continue to play hard, and we're going to have to go match the intensity of those kids. Going on the road is going to be a unique day for us. We out of school, so we're going to have to get those kids up here early, try to feed them, get them off their feet, get them to relax, and then get on the bus and go take this long trip. But, we're going to try to keep it as normal as possible. And we preaching the same thing. Don't let the record or what you see on film fool you. These kids do a really good job. That coaching staff does a good job of getting prepared, and we know they're going to be prepared on Friday. It's their homecoming. And what better way to, make your homecoming what you look for in the homecoming is getting a win, and they're going to come out and do everything they can in their power to get a win. So we're going to have to go up there and we're going to have to play well.
This would be the second attempt to try and spoil a homecoming. We played one against Sylvan Hills. With the team kind of amped up like that and them playing even more to their potential in a homecoming game, does it mean a little extra to get a win on the road?
Well, I mean, no matter winning on the road, winning period is, but when you go on the road and win, it just says a lot about your program, man. It's tough to go in places and win games, no matter the record of the other team, man. Just being in those hostile environments and, doing something different because you off routine. A lot of kids, you don't have to do much to get them up for a home game because they got everybody here, but going on the road and then taking a trip that's going to be this long, it's tough to get the kids, mentally and physically and emotionally ready to play in those type of football games. But if you can do a good job early in the week and get them ready to go, you increase your chances of going to have some success.
With the 3-hour trip to Mountain Home coming up, what's your schedule like to make sure you don't have the bus legs?
Well, I mean, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to feed those kids breakfast early Friday morning, and then, we're going to tell them to bring some blankets and pillows, and we're going to put on a movie in the indoor, get them off their feet, and, try to load up on the bus, close to 12 o'clock, get on the bus and, drive up to Jonesboro, stop, get them something to eat, and get back on the road and drive on up. And, that we'll get there early enough to give us some time to, get to shake their legs out, get them ready to go. And, it won't be much different from what we do from a normal away game.
Well, sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Anything you want to add?
Man, if you can get out and support, come support. If not, I know it'll be live stream, so make sure you tune in.
Coach Keith Houston, we'll be right back with the Patcast.
You're in the mood for great Mexican food? It has to be authentic, and the customer service has to be amazing. At Mi Pueblo Authentic Mexican Food, you'll get both. Mouth-watering, delicious, and authentic Mexican food combined with attentive service along with live music and homemade tortillas. You're sure to have a great experience to remember. With locations in both Marion and West Memphis, you're never far away from Mi Pueblo Authentic Mexican Food. So go get your Mexican food fix today at Mi Pueblo Authentic Mexican Food.
Every day you take simple steps to protect your family. Whether it's the neighborhood you live in, the car you drive, or the channels you watch. At Farm Bureau Insurance, we're here to help with life insurance to protect your family's financial future, serviced by agents trained to customize life insurance coverage to you and your family. From last expenses to mortgage protection to your children's education to retirement. Your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent is on hand and ready to provide the reassurance and protection you need. Call today for your free no-obligation review of auto, home, and life insurance that's custom-tailored just for you. In Crittenden County, call Farm Bureau Insurance at 870-739-4436. A proud Patriot partner.
And welcome back to the Patcast. On this edition of Monk's Maulers, we'll take a look at some big plays from the Searcy game and some things that we can improve upon as we go to Mountain Home this week. We start off with a big play from the first quarter. This first half of Monk's Maulers is going to be all about defense, because one thing we have to have against the Bombers is some sound defense. Although it's not as dangerous an offense as, like, say, Wynn. It's still kind of that same kind of vibe to it. It makes you play perfect defensive football, and that's what it's going to take for the Patriots here. I have faith in them against the Bombers, but still, we need some hustle plays like this one here. We start with the first touchdown of the game. We're going to take a look specifically right here at Mr. Jaquaylin Daniel. Jaquaylin makes a really solid play here. The tackle on the far side of the field doesn't do a great job blocking. They're going to try and run a bubble screen to the far side of the field. They have 4 wide receivers out here. Jaquaylin just makes a better play. Offensively, you couldn't ask for too much better, maybe a little better blocking from that tackle, but offensively, you couldn't ask for a better play right here. But Jaquaylin does a great job just sticking a hand out there, knocks the ball to himself, and returns it to the house. I think it's something like 60-something yards on this play, maybe like 64 for the touchdown. Takes it all the way to the house. Go celebrate with your teammates. We'll take a look at it from the end zone now. Very New England formation. You'll note this is a formation that the New England Patriots love to run all the time. They'll put Tom Brady under center with nobody behind him. It's very rare, but I'm a Pats fan. I notice stuff like that. New England's one of the few teams I see run this formation. They're trying to run that bubble screen to the outside of the field. Jaquaylin, see, the tackle is able to just barely touch him, but Jaquaylin does a great job following the flow of the play towards the outside of the field. If there's 4 guys on one side of the field, that's a pretty good sign that the play is going over there. Just tips it to himself, intercepts that tip, and takes it to the house. Love that play by Jaquaylin. Love the effort and just the smarts to realize that that's where the play is going. Next play I want to point out on defense, this is in the fourth quarter. It's 4th and 8. Lions are up by 2 touchdowns, I believe, at this point, but the Patriots did score at the end of the third, so they're still not completely out of the woods. They are up 2 touchdowns at the beginning of the fourth, but a score here almost seals the game for the Lions. So what are we going to run on 4th and 8? It's going to be a passing play. The Lions had a pretty good passing game. One of the better passing attacks in the state to this point. So I got to commend the Patriot defense to holding them to a season low 28. Their lowest scoring one before that was like 39 points. They averaged something like 45 points a game. They just scored 54 points the week before. So I'll take 28. I'll take 28 points against the Lions. One thing I want you to see right here, coming around the end, great job disguising the blitz on the far side of the field. I believe that's Brandon Calvert comes in and hits the quarterback right as he's making the throw. He's throwing towards the near side, but Brandon hits him right as he's in his throwing motion. Ball goes immediately to the ground. Patriots take over on downs. They would end up scoring later on the drive on the turnover on downs. We'll get to that play in just a second. Even further into the game, Patriots make it a 1-touchdown game. You would have loved to have them score and tie it up, but if you want to do something like that, you have to have a big stop like this. This is late in the fourth quarter. 3rd down and 3. Lions have had a pretty good running game in this game as well. I think they averaged like 4 yards per carry, something like that. But either way, the Lions have had success running the ball. They got a tight end, or actually 2 tight ends on the line on this side, 2 wide receivers on the near side as well. I wonder which way they're going to run. You always follow your blockers. So, plays coming this way. Patriots add a few more defenders over here as well, but that hasn't really stopped the Lion rushing game so far. So what are we going to do late in the fourth quarter? Again, the Patriot defense does a great job recognizing where all the blockers are. They blitz to the formation. You may have heard that saying in earlier episodes of the Patcast. They cause a lot of confusion with the blockers up front and end up tackling him for a loss. Lions end up punting on the play, and the Patriots get the ball back. Still ended up being a one-touchdown game in favor of the Lions, but they needed a stop right here on 3rd and 3. They were able to come up clutch and actually make the Lions lose some yards before the punt. Okay, so beginning of the third quarter, we go to the Patriot offense side of the ball for Monks Maulers. I really, really like this play. Anthony Price with a touchdown. Not sure how many times we've said that this year, but the guy's really good. I hate it for Kentrell, but that's really opened the door. This is the touchdown play at the beginning of the third quarter. Clay Arelli over here, I want you to pay attention to him. They put an outside linebacker over here. The guard's going to hit on that D end. Clay is going to go up against, it's a mismatch. Even though Clay's bigger than him, he's going to be quicker than Clay, so it's all about his move. The play's coming to this side. It's all about what Clay can do to open up the hole. So, as we go into the play, there's the snap. That's all Clay had to do right there. With that outside linebacker's speed, all he's got to do is just throw him off course just enough, and that opens up a hole for AP to run through. The defensive player, I don't know if you caught that right there. Clay just throws him off his course just enough. The defender overruns Anthony. He's able to take advantage of that and get into the hole. Anthony also making a great individual play. That safety's going to come up. He's going to wrap him up by the legs, but a great job to keep moving forward, keep those legs churning, and get into the end zone. Wasn't the big killer pancake block that all the offensive linemen want to do, but sometimes just a little shove outside of their trajectory is all it takes and can be the difference in 6 points. And to cap off Monks Maulers, just a little bit of a shout out to our returning injured players that you'll see this week, Slade and Caden. They'll be back in action. I want to show off one of Caden's plays real quick. First things first, this is a play-action pass. Patriot running game was doing well enough that it opened up the play-action. Safety bit down on the run for a moment. He actually turns the wrong way there. They throw to Caden. Caden's running just a quick slant route. Ton of grass between him, makes a defender miss, makes another defender miss, gets hit from behind for a 21-yard gain. We take a look at it from the end zone. Don't have to completely sell it, just enough to make everybody think it's a running play there for a moment. It wasn't the picture-perfect play action that all the NFL scouts will show you on ESPN, but it's enough to fool the defense into thinking that it's a running play. They throw it again on the slant route. Caden again, great job making two defenders miss, gets tackled from behind. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple of our players returning from injury. That's it for this edition of Monks Maulers. We'll be right back with the Patcast.
Having served Eastern Arkansas since 1966, Fidelity Bank is a financial staple in Crittenden County. With the main branch in West Memphis, Fidelity has multiple branches and ATMs in Marion and West Memphis to serve you. With their various online resources, Fidelity has you covered in a digital world. With Secure Lock, you control your debit card usability. With their website and mobile banking app, you can do all that you want, including mobile check deposit, bill pay, money and external transfers, mobile alerts, and more. Check them out at fidelitybanker.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. A proud Patriot partner. When you want hometown health care, you want Marion Minor Medical, a proud Patriot partner. All right, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Patcast. This week we're going to end with a treat that just kind of fell into our laps, fortunately. Our former contributor, Chuck Livingston, back now with Hooten's Arkansas football out of Benton, making his rounds around the state and catching all the football games you can with your camera, making those ranking notes and picks at Hootens.com, and it's been a lot of fun to watch your career blossom there over the past 3 years. Tell us how it's going with Hootens.
It's going well. First of all, a little different. You and I have different definitions of the word treat. I mean, but they, man, it's been a lot of fun. I've always been a big admirer of the book and the website. Delta Pest Football Reports, our weekly radio show, and it's just doing all that stuff's a blast. I produce the radio show every week. It's on the website. We pick every game on that. Ranking those in picks, it's the best part about it is, interacting with coaches, finding out who's playing well, things like that. Obviously, as you guys have documented in the group message, had some struggles picking some of these games because of some schools. Not going to go there, but just. Sometimes you're just wrong, so you catch some flack on that. You have to have a pretty thick skin, but working on the book's a treat. I mean, it's you go so in depth on some of these, extended previews and things like that, and you try to be informed about what's going on, and of course, playoffs right around the corner, and that's a really big time because it's a lot of information you don't really get. Like we were talking before, we went on camera that. It's like I don't really know what's really going on in the West right now. Obviously you got a pretty good handle on the East. You've seen a lot of these teams, including Marion, of course. But you're trying to, you're like, man, it's only like a couple hours up the road, in the West. But it's almost like a different world unless you like have some way of seeing it. So that's kind of like it's probably my favorite part of the year's playoffs. Kind of like, okay, well, here's what you need to know about Benton Panthers. Like. Who are the better players for Benton? What's Benton do? What are they gonna hang their hat on, and all that. So that's kind of the exciting part, And there's always people who are willing to talk. Like we're doing books in the summer, and like you're in Newport, you're in Searcy, you're in Bald Knob, and everyone's like, hey, how's the team looking this year? It's like, well, it helps to have some knowledge on that. So I try to be an outgoing guy. So like that's kind of the best part. Of the whole thing is kind of interacting with, and doing stuff like this too. So.
Well, you've certainly become a bridge for us between the other world of 6A West. Tell us what you're going to do in December. Every year y'all have an award show. What goes into that?
Yeah, it's the Farm Bureau Insurance Awards, and what we try to do is we try to honor the top 3 offensive players, top 3 defensive players, and top 3 coaches from each classification. 7A, 6A we combine. But, in the past, Mark Uhiron was a coaching finalist in 2010 or 11 for Marion. Of course, the great Jerry Franklin, a lot of people's personal favorite. He was a finalist in the 2006 season. Farm Bureau Insurance Awards, I think, has been a partner with Hooten's Arkansas football since like 2003 or 4. I'm not really sure of the year, but been a great partner and all that. So basically, all the way down, 7A, 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, once again, based on a lot of feedback from coaches, best player in your conference, tell me about this guy, Landon West, man, he had 23 tackles against us. That guy's unbelievable, and then I'm like, oh, you start taking a closer look at him, so, and then we do like a highlight video. That's kind of like the meat of like the whole thing, like, somebody wins the award, best offensive, best defensive, and best coach, but everybody, other than the certificate for winning, or it's actually a little trophy, an acrylic deal, but everybody gets, it's about a minute long highlight film, and like, some of these guys who have been like standout players for a couple of years now, like I think back to 2 years ago, Ryan Johnson from Prescott. He was a 3-time all-conference safety. He was the quarterback last year. We had video of him from the time he was a sophomore to the time he's a senior, and like they lose in the semifinals, but he was just such a good player. Like you kind of document, hey, this guy's been doing this for 3 years, and that's kind of cool too, because like you just see a lot of things, like they look a lot different, like they're like bigger, faster, stronger type thing. But it's so we go to this, we go to the Argenta Community Theater in North Little Rock, and there's a dinner, and then we go into the theater and we show everybody's highlight film, and it's pretty impressive. Like the coolest part is seeing like some of these guys like kind of interacting. Like I heard last year in the lobby, it's like, man, dude, that was so cold. Like like how you did, and it's just cool because like it's the same type deal. A lot of these guys who are in like their own hometown, your world only goes so far. But it's like when you start seeing some of these guys playing well, it's like, man, like this dude's like this dude's pretty good. I got a lot of respect for this guy, and you probably wouldn't have even known. So that's a cool part, seeing these guys kind of like hanging out. Like I know 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, time flies. But Connor Nolan, Arkansas baseball pitcher, Greenwood quarterback, he won the 7A, 6A Offensive Player of the Year award. Sean Michael Flanagan, he's at Oklahoma State now. He was the 3A Offensive Player of the Year, and great player. And obviously, so it's just like these guys, like Charleston and Greenwood are not that far apart, but it's like, these two guys are like hanging out and like they're on Twitter like, man, you need to come to Arkansas, I'll get you the football, so it was kind of cool to have like, all the players included, but certainly guys like that, like, oh, we knew them way back when. So
coming back to Marion for a hot minute, what's your overall opinion on the Pats? Where do you think they could end up in the season? I know they've had their chances in a lot of these games. They've made some mistakes, kind of shot themselves in the foot, but they still seem like a competitive team even with those. What's your opinion on the Pats?
Yeah, I think you pretty much summed Marion up totally, because the deal is that 1 point overtime loss at West Memphis, 7 point loss to Searcy. Nobody's played Searcy that close, and like you said, the first half, just it was a myriad of mistakes, So if they beat West Memphis and Searcy, and again, it's a total of 8 points deciding those ball games. Marion's sitting at first place with a win over Searcy and and West Memphis, which is fading a little bit, but like then you've got the Week 10 showdown with Jonesboro. So, and we saw it last year too. Marion, I guess, was 2-2 in the conference after West Memphis and Searcy beats them, but the Pats kind of peak, and you mentioned they're getting healthier now. As they're going to get some guys back here in the next couple weeks, and of course big test this week up at Mountain Home. It's homecoming, but it's a series that Marion's done really well in. But Hootens.com, you can go check out the prediction there. I can't give it to you here, but so the opportunity is there for Marion to make a run and bank some wins here with Mountain Home and Jacksonville and some other winnable games. And then the Jonesboro game is still going to be really big. It could be for the number 2 seed again, like it was last year. Like I said, Jonesboro hasn't lost yet. It's going to play Searcy next week, so somebody's going to probably lose. Of course, Jonesboro plays West Memphis this week, but it looks like it's going to be those two playing next week for the conference title. And then Marion, if they can finish 5-2, could be right in the mix. But the problem is losing tiebreakers to West Memphis and Searcy. It kind of muddies the water a little bit, but but in the playoffs, pretty obviously sports are still sports. Anything can happen, and Marion can host a playoff game, and that's something it's been doing lately. So everything's still on the table for Marion, and like I said, injuries. It ultimately comes down to which team's healthier and performs better. So.
You're talking right now, there's a 4-way tie for third place. Marion is sitting at 6th because only 4 tiebreaker points over Sylvan Hills. And my question for you then, from this perspective that you have, kind of watching over the two sides going together, getting ready to go at it in the playoffs, have there been any surprises? Anything not going to chalk in the 6A East or the 6A West?
6A East, I think the big story's got to be West Memphis. There were a lot of expectations for the Blue Devils this year, just based on the trajectory of the program. Won a lot of games the last couple of years, won the conference title last year, semis the past 2 years. Well documented. Again, the transfer situation. The 5 players from Memphis moved. Playing for West Memphis this year. A couple guys are out now injured, but certainly that it certainly raised expectations for us. We're like, oh man, West Memphis, they might be, they'll get back to War Memorial. Maybe they'll give Greenwood a what for, and that has not happened. It hasn't happened at all. This, if they don't rally past Marion, back week 4, they're sitting here right now.
Did we think Searcy would be this good?
No, definitely missed on Searcy, and and honestly, that was the input. Once again, input from coaches. They were voted 6th. You guys read the book, obviously. It comes out. The coaches do the coaches poll. Mm-hmm. They voted on, voted Searcy 6th. Sylvan Hills, Marion, Pine Bluff ahead. But you got to give Mark Kelly a lot of credit there. It's a program that's really struggled. When I was a sports editor here at the Evening Times, they had 3 coaches in 3 years. It was a revolving door. Yeah. And I think Searcy's a great case for, getting guys in the program, keeping them in the program. And guys believe it. You got a lot of guys that've got a great JV program is the big word about them. So by the time these guys are getting to be seniors, they've played a lot of football, not necessarily varsity football, but they've been in the weight room, they've been in the program, and Mark Kelly, the coach, is a former really good high school quarterback. I believe he played in college as well, and he just, no matter who the quarterback is, they're getting production. Bryce Dixon's the guy now. You guys saw him last week, I guess.
Well, he's fast.
He's fast. He's a dual threat guy, but he can throw the football. Yeah. So it's a really tough thing. But you think back to Peyton Wright. He starts for 1 year at Searcy. He's a preferred walk-on at Arkansas State. They get him ready. You think back to Mason Shucker. He's a 2-year guy. He's setting records at his community college in Missouri. So, if you got a good quarterback, you can go. So Searcy's one that I think a lot of people are wrong on, and they also got a key transfer, Marlon Crockett. He transfers in from Texas in July or August. So, there's a legitimate move. That there's a lot of these are, but he certainly has helped that team. Out west, kind of rising and falling. Sheridan Yellow Jackets.
I saw them in second and went, what? Yeah, just in time to move to the East next year.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sheridan, the team has struggled a lot. In the past couple of years, is the third year for Lance Parker. He's actually the grandson of the great Jimmy Red Parker, the legendary Rising coach, Ouachita Baptist, as well for a long time. I don't know about a long time, but a couple of years. But it's his grandson, and he got to Sheridan 2 years ago. They really struggled. They really struggled again last year. They closed the gap a little bit, and now this year should have beaten Siloam Springs 3 weeks ago. Beat up Russellville. They knock off El Dorado last week for the first time in school history, and they're probably going to beat Little Rock Hall this week. You would expect. And Sheridan, it's going to come down to the last couple of weeks for them. I mean, like I said, the loss to Siloam is going to hurt, but they've actually passed them in the standings because, because Siloam's lost a couple games. But it's going to, keep an eye on Sheridan because they play Greenwood week 9 and then Benton and Lake Hamilton week 8. So it's going to be.
They've really got a buzzsaw at the end, don't they?
They do, yeah. So, Sheridan, it really tightens up after this week. But, if it can beat, Lake Hamilton, which is playing good ball, it's another surprise team. Maybe even a bigger surprise. But Hamilton's bigger games are at the end of the schedule as well. And, on the downside, probably Russellville. Really missed on Russellville. And, El Dorado has struggled.
I was going to say, how are they doing with their new coach?
Yeah, it's an adjustment period, and they've got one of the top running backs in the state, Alex Hicks. He was an all-state quarterback last year. But they just, like you said, Sheridan gets them. They actually played with Greenwood all the way into the fourth quarter, which a lot of schools can't say. But, El Dorado and Russellville are kind of the fallers there, and Hamilton and Sheridan are the two, positive surprises. And that's the great thing about football is, you really don't know until they get out there. But once again, the third year, and this is maybe something for, Marion, Coach Gilleran's third year at Lake Hamilton. Mm-hmm. You see what they're doing. Sheridan's third year with Coach Parker. This is the second year for Coach Hooten at Marion. And already Marion's been really good last year, and even this year, like you said, more competitive. But it seems like that third year, you kind of get guys in the program, you get them buying in, and so that's maybe the subplot, the thing to take away from all this is that third year, you're like, oh, here we go.
Senior Daedric Kale has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Well, once again, if you got a good quarterback, you could Daedric's really good. So
I think we got enough time for one more question.
It depends. We'll see.
My question for the West, obviously we know Greenwood is the heavy favorite for there's two other undefeated conference teams there. You have 6-0 Lake Hamilton and the 3-3, but all three are conference wins, Benton Panthers. My question with that would be, are those records legit, or is it still too early in the conference season for those two?
Benton has already Benton has got a big one this week at El Dorado. We'll find out about Benton. Benton played for the state title last year. Benton in another year, any other year where it's not playing a Greenwood, juggernaut like it was last year, probably wins the 6A title. That Benton team last year was really good. Plays with Bryant, and it's all three of its losses last year. Benton, 7A champion Bryant, and 2 to Greenwood, which obviously rules the roost in Class 6A. So now Benton graduated a lot of guys. They graduated 2 Division I linemen. Joshua George signed with the UCA. The school's all-time leading rusher Zach Wallace, he left the premises. So Benton, they're replacing a lot of heroes from last couple of years, but they figured it out. I would say Benton, don't be fooled by the 3-3 overall. They're probably closer to I believe they'll finish second in the 6A West and earn that first round playoff bye, is what I think will happen. But we've covered that. But and now Hamilton is a lot better. Like I said, third year Coach Gilleran's scheme. They're in the wing tee. They were in the spread before that, so it was kind of a different thing. But Hamilton's going to play Benton in 2 weeks for probably the number 2 seed, and I would say Hamilton, the Wolves have played a majority of their easier games so far because again, all the games seem to be backloaded in the 6A West, but they've done what they needed to do in these ball games too. I mean, they rolled Russellville, they've beaten up on Hall, they beat El Dorado a couple 3 weeks ago. So give Lake Hamilton credit. They're, are they a 6-0 state title contender? I don't know. We'll see how they stack up. but they're definitely, I mean, a lot better than they've been. So that's the thing, and you know that 6A West, like it. I mean, like I said, Siloam beating Sheridan. You know, we see Sheridan now. Like after Greenwood, I mean, they could finish, and then Hall at the bottom, probably gonna miss the playoffs. But like honestly, after that, somebody's gonna get left out, and it's one of those things. Like, you know, it's gonna be very interesting to see how it unfolds, because you could have a 4-way tie for second or third or whatever, because these teams are beating up on each other.
Right. And right now, somebody's got to be out in the East, too. You've got Marion, West Memphis, and Sylvan Hills all with that one win, one loss over the other. And somebody's got to fall out. And, you know,
Marion's got the tiebreaker over Sylvan Hills, and then, you know, Sylvan Hills beats West Memphis the very next week. You know, and again, West Memphis still has, you know, owns losses to Searcy, and, you know, and Sylvan Hills does have the tiebreaker on Marion. So it could come down to it. Looks like Jonesboro and Searcy are pretty good locks right now. I think Sylvan Hills will probably make it, and you know I still think Marion's going to make it. I think Marion can compete for that number 3 seed, just kind of based on it, because you know West Memphis and Searcy both, like, you know, and then Jonesboro's a big game too. So, but again, anything can happen. Marion's won 2 straight against Jonesboro. I mean, wouldn't that be something if, you know, Marion's 4-2 in the conference and it knocks off Jonesboro and, you know, in week 10 again on that Thursday night, and you know may not win the conference title, but could definitely help its playoff positioning at that point, especially with the tiebreaker over Sylvan Hills, which is still really talented.
Yep. Well, Chuck, thank you for stopping by. Hope you enjoy the volleyball game that you
can't wait.
Yeah, tonight.
I'm going to paint my chest.
That's not legal in AAA. Anyway.
Well,
looking at you, Plastic Academy.
There's a lot not legal in AAA land, and there's a leeway with all this, you know.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the Patcast. And, man, it's been fun to get the band back together, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be sure to check you out on Hootens.com, and we'll hope that you'll see us next week. So on behalf of Chuck Livingston, well, maybe this part doesn't go on behalf of him anymore, but on behalf of Chuck Livingston, Tyler Bennett, I'm Lennon West saying go Bats.